Usually, we don't associate this latter portion of the year with a ton of new game releases, specifically this late period in December. You usually get a couple of big games early in December, and then it completely tapers off by mid-December, but this coming week, there are actually a ton of new PlayStation 4 game releases, and while there aren't those big budget games rounding out the week, there are a lot of interesting titles, and while a lot of games I wouldn't recommend you to go out and pick up on day one at full price, a lot of games I would say add to your wish list, and then keep an eye on the game and see where the price falls in 2 to 3 months and maybe pick it up then. But a lot of interesting games. So without further ado, I want to take a look at 12 new PlayStation 4 games that are all coming this week. A lot to get to, so let's get right into it. First up, a game that I've been pretty vocal about being a little bit too high on the price side, and that is Earth Defense Force 5. Now, I've been a big fan of the Earth Defense Force franchise if you're into third-person shooters that you don't have to take all too seriously, you just want a fun arcadey experience. Earth Defense Force will absolutely have you covered, and the early reviews for EDF 5 are coming in, and they are looking very positive. This one also touts more content than ever with over 100 missions and 5 difficulties and over 1,000 usable arms. There's a 2-player co-op mode that can also be played on a single screen, so that's awesome. And if you want to go online, the co-op mode will support up to 4 players. Unfortunately, it is priced kind of high at $59.99, and that's what really puts me off on the game. I think at $39.99 it would have been an easy recommendation. $59.99 just a bit high, but still one to definitely keep your eyes on. EDF 5 is dropping on December 11th. Next up, we've got Warbot, and Warbot is a brand new PlayStation VR title. It's a fighting game that you control robot through a mapping mode. It's designed and built for a VR immersive experience. You have high freedom of assembly, which allows you to create your own unique robot. The game itself is set in the year 2200, where an all-star robot battle started on Planet X. You, as a professional robot battle player, create your own exclusive robot and control your robot battle through mapping mode. Fight with opponents in the universe, win each battle to gain more upgraded parts. Warbot on PlayStation VR drops on December 11th. Next up, this isn't a completely new game release, however, it is a major update, and that is Prey Typhon Hunter. Prey Typhon Hunter is a free multiplayer update to Prey Moon Crash, and Prey was one of those games that back in 2017 I spoke very highly of. It was a very underrated game. Arcane Studios did an awesome job with it. And now with Typhon Hunter, you'll be able to experience the game in a completely new way with other people. You take the tense, treacherous world of Prey, throw in some asymmetrical multiplayer, and you've got a recipe for some serious jump scares. In addition to Typhon Hunter, the TranStar VR Escape Room mode will also be available on December 11th, and that's a PSVR element of the game. Again, Prey Typhon Hunter will be an absolutely free update, and it'll be hitting December 11th. Next up, we've also got Gungrave VR Loaded Coffin Edition. Now, Gungrave was actually released in segments on the PlayStation Store. However, if you want the complete experience and you want it physically, Gungrave VR Loaded Coffin Edition is what you should pick up. This is being released at $39.99, and it'll feature both the base game and the DLC, which is 3 additional levels. They are touting this as the complete Gungrave experience, so if you've been looking to get Gungrave VR, this is the version to buy at this point. Gungrave VR Loaded Coffin Edition drops December 11th. Next up, we have the Videokid. The Videokid is a very interesting game. This game is actually already available on Steam at the super low budget price of $3.99, and it has you test your skills to the max in a fun and challenging arcade-style skate game set in a retro 1980s neighborhood filled with danger. You skate, hitch, and grind your way through hazardous streets, dodging 80s bikes, cars, trucks, trains, and more. It's definitely got a nostalgic feel to it. The Videokid hits the PlayStation 4 on December 11th. Next up, we have a game that I'm personally very much looking forward to, a game that has popped up on my radar very recently, and that is Desert Child. Desert Child has you play as a young and talented hoverbike racer who needs to figure out how you can scrape enough cash together through racing and odd jobs to punch your one-way ticket to the Red Planet to enter the biggest race in the universe, the Grand Prix. The world of Earth is quickly decaying, and now a lot of people have been moving to Mars for a better quality of life, and of course you're trying to do the same. It's got an awesome retro art style to it, and I think that's really what's going gonna hook people from the get-go, but there also seems to be a high level of depth to it in terms of gameplay mechanics, so this could turn out to be one of the more surprising games at this latter portion of the year. Desert Child hits the PS4 on December 11th. Next up, we have another PlayStation VR title in Red Matter. Red Matter is a story-driven VR puzzle adventure game set during a dystopian sci-fi Cold War. You take on the role of Agent Epsilon, an astronaut of the Atlantic Union dispatched to an abandoned Volgravian moon base on a frozen, faraway planet. What's your mission? To investigate a shady top-secret research project. Visually, the game looks quite good, and this looks to be a very story-driven experience, so if that's what you're looking for in VR, Red Matter is gonna have you covered. It drops December 11th.
We're trying to keep anyone from leaving or entering this place.
Next up, we have the follow-up to Kingdom in Kingdom 2 Crowns. In Kingdom 2 Crowns, you must work together in a brand new solo or co-op campaign, so co-op is a big element of this new Kingdom title, as the title would suggest. It is called 2 Crowns, so that is going to add a brand new layer to your traditional Kingdom gameplay. You can experience new technology, units, enemies, mounts, and secrets in the next evolution of the award-winning micro-strategy franchise. Of course, technically, Kingdom isn't anything to write home about, but it is a game with a ton of depth to it, and Kingdom 2 Crowns drops on the PlayStation 4 on December 12th. Next up, we have another very interesting VR title in Richie's Plank Experience. Richie's Plank Experience is probably the zaniest VR title that has been released yet. You're on a plank, 80 stories high, knees shaky, palms sweaty. You have a choice. Do you walk or do you freeze? Richie's Plank Experience is touted as the only VR experience that lets you clone any real-world plank into the virtual world for 2 times the immersion. This game sounds so wacky, so zany, but that might be something that actually captivates a lot of gamers into checking the game out. Richie's Plank Experience hits exclusively to the PlayStation VR on December 12th. Next up, another VR title that a lot of people are excited for. One of the most iconic games of the last decade is making a transition to VR in Borderlands 2 VR. Yes, Borderlands is coming to VR, and this is your fundamental Borderlands 2 game with all of the DLC content, but now on PlayStation VR. VR should add an awesome layer to the already exceptional Borderlands experience. Borderlands 2 was a phenomenal game, and it's a game that I find myself very easy to go back and revisit it, but now you actually have a different way to play through the game, and that's why I think gamers are so excited for Borderlands 2 on PlayStation VR. Now, the one issue, I'll be frankly honest with Borderlands 2 PSVR, just like with EDF5, I do think the pricing is a bit high, given the fact that this is a 6-year-old game. Yes, it's making the transition to VR for the first time, still at a $49.99 price point, that is quite hefty. Now, you might say, hey, The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim was released at $59.99 on PlayStation VR, but at the same time, I would offer you the fact that I thought that game was very overpriced as well. I have to say the same about Borderlands 2 PSVR. However, Borderlands 2 is a game with a sizable amount of content to it, so if you're talking dollar for value, Borderlands 2 is going to have you cover on that end, but when you assess it from the fact that it is a 6-year-old game, that might leave people a little bit disappointed. However, say it goes on sale for $24.99, 50% off, at that point I do think Borderlands 2 VR would be an awesome buy. It hits PlayStation VR on December 14th.
We'll defend you to the death, minion! Okay, no, I won't!
Next up, we have a very wacky multiplayer title in Big Crown Showdown. The Big Crown Showdown sees friends become foes as they compete for the crown in 4-player local and online multiplayer combat. It's set over 3 wacky worlds full of medieval shenanigans, and you have to avoid perilous hazards and engage in frantic fights as you attempt to knock your opponents off 15 crazy courses in the ultimate royale battle. The game touts being a very easy pick-up-and-play kind of experience, and accessible and enjoyable for players of all ages and skill level. Big Crown Showdown hits the PlayStation 4 on December 14th. And finally, we have Kingmaker Rise to the Throne. Kingmaker Rise to the Throne seems to be a very casual adventure-based game, very story-driven, but it has you visit 38 mysterious locations in the world of Griffinvale. It touts you having to solve 30 minigames and puzzles to find the crown, and you can meet 10 members of the royal court. It also touts around 40 collectibles, probably not a game everybody's gonna be dying to pick up on day one, but could be an interesting title nonetheless. It does have a pretty positive reception on Steam as it's already been released over there, so cool to see it making the transition to PlayStation as well. Kingmaker Rise to the Throne drops December 14th. So that's gonna conclude this video. Again, there's not a ton of gigantic game releases this week, but with titles like Borderlands 2 VR, Earth Defense Force 5, I think Warbot is a pretty interesting title that for VR people could surprise you. Desert Child looks absolutely awesome, and then I'm sure Kingdom 2 Crowns is gonna be great as well. There's actually quite a bit of depth in the lineup this week, but as I mentioned, probably best to save your money with a lot of these games, add them to your wish list, and down the line when they do go on sale, pick them up then. But that's gonna conclude this video. Be sure to sound off with all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.